From medieval crusades to Soviet domination, Latvia's road to freedom was long and arduous. The Latvian story is one of quiet endurance and subtle resistance. Today we look back over 7 centuries of foreign rule and explore how this small Baltic nation emerged from centuries of domination. Medieval domination. The Livonian Crusade. By the late 16th century, Livonia found itself caught in a geopolitical struggle between the declining Teutonic Order. Under the Swedes, serfdom continued and the privileges of the German aristocracy were respected. However, the Swedish era is also viewed more optimistically in Latvian historical memory. In 1905, Latvians participated in the Russian Revolution of 1905, demanding land reform, cultural rights, and political representation. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. The Tsar's brutal response, however, highlighted the need for more radical action. The First World War further destabilized the region. When the Russian Empire collapsed in 1917, revolutionary fervor reached a fever pitch. Latvia's leaders seized the moment. On November 18, the People's Council of Latvia met in secret and proclaimed the independence of the Republic of Latvia. The path to recognition was fraught with peril. The fledgling state faced threats from neighboring powers as well as internal divisions. The Latvian War of Independence pitted Latvian nationalists against German Bolsheviks and Russian forces, but Latvia ultimately secured its sovereignty, joining the League of Nations in 1921 and establishing diplomatic relations with many European states. For the first time in over 700 years, Latvians governed themselves in their own language on their own land. This hard-won independence was a pivotal moment, marking the end of Latvia's long ordeal under foreign rule. The country proceeded to build democratic institutions and chart a course toward NATO, all while remaining acutely aware of its turbulent past. During this period, Sweden implemented progressive reforms in areas under its direct rule. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this narrative is the quiet endurance of the Latvian people. For over 700 years they lived under the sway of crusading knights, royal dynasties, and imperial ambitions. Yet through it all, they held fast to their cultural identity, ensuring that the flame of Latvian nationhood would endure. The road to independence was long, but the spirit of freedom burned bright, such as vidzeme, which included taxation based on income rather than inherited status, as well as greater legal and educational opportunities. But these advancements did little to address the underlying power structure of oppression. Native Latvians still lacked political representation and land rights. The continued presence of foreign rulers would shape Latvia's national consciousness for centuries. Rising powers of Poland, Lithuania, and ambitious young kingdom of Sweden, fearing the growing threat from Russia, the Council of the Teutonic Order invited King Gustav Vasa of Sweden to conquer Livonia and place it under his rule. The Livonian Confederation, a shaky alliance between the Teutonic Order, Danish, Swedish, and Polish forces fought to prevent Swedish domination. But Sweden ultimately triumphed and expanded its empire across the Baltic. Latvia, divided between the Swedish Empire and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, entered a new phase of foreign domination. Our story begins in the 13th century with the Livonian Crusade. Over the next few centuries, the German ruling class imposed a strict feudal hierarchy on Livonia. The nobility enjoyed vast landholdings and political influence. The turning point came with the Great Northern War when Russia, under Peter the Great, decisively defeated Sweden and seized control of most of Latvia. By the end of the 18th century, Latvia was fully integrated into the Russian Empire. Under the Tsars, the Baltic German aristocracy continued to dominate as landowners and administrators, while Latvians remained a subject population with limited rights. In the 19th century, the Russian government implemented Russification policies, aiming to assimilate Latvia's non-Russian subjects into Russian culture. This included banning Latvian language instruction, replacing local governance with Russian officials, and promoting the adoption of the Orthodox Christian faith. Despite these restrictions, the 19th century also witnessed the Latvian National Awakening, a cultural and intellectual movement that emphasized Latvian language, folklore, and customs. Key figures like folklorist Krišjānis Barons and educator Andrejs Sokolis played a vital role in shaping this cultural revival. While the peasantry toiled as serfs with few rights, German culture, language, and religion dominated public life. In cities like Riga, Cēsis, and Taurida, German laws, administration, and education prevailed. Latvians were excluded from power and reduced to second-class status in their homeland. A northern branch of the larger European Crusade movement sanctioned by the Pope. These holy wars aimed to convert the pagan Baltic and Finnic peoples to Christianity and bring them into the orbit of Western European monarchies. But the Crusaders had ulterior motives. They sought land, power, and wealth in the prosperous trading cities of the Northern Crusades. The Livonian Brothers of the Sword, a holy order founded in 1180, spearheaded the campaign to dominate the region. These fanatical German knights battled the indigenous Livonians, Lagalians, and Selonians in a brutal war of conquest. The Crusaders slaughtered entire villages, massacring those who resisted conversion to Catholicism. By 1237, the Livonian Brothers of the Sword, along with other German monastic orders, had carved out a new Christian feudal state called Livonia. It covered much of modern-day Latvia and southern Estonia. However, the Crusaders did not rule alone. In 1238, the Teutonic Order, headquartered in nearby Prussia, was granted sovereignty over Livonia. The Teutonic Order, originally a hospital for pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land, evolved into a ruthless fighting force and solidified German control over the region. The rise of German domination, shifting borders and new masters, Swedish rule and Polish and Russian conquest and Russification, revolution, and the first taste of freedom. Tensions grew throughout the 19th century. From medieval domination to Soviet occupation, Latvia's journey has been marked by resilience and reinvention. Thank you for watching.